What are you kidding? I look like Casper the Friendly Fucking Ghost, Sebastian. I need a tan. Book the Barbados trip. Yeah. I'm gonna look at myself. Oh. How are we doing on AMRS? How much am I up by? 12 cents? All right. Welcome to the BenBen Show. I hope everyone's having a lovely day. This episode of the BenBen Show is brought to you by people that are heterosexual that use preferred pronouns on their social media. His, her, they, them. Why the fuck do they do that? They do it because you have to respect their pronouns, regardless of whether they're straight, gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever. Respect it. You know, Sebastian, fuck it. We don't need their support. What the fuck are you talking about? If you're straight and you say his, her, what? Is that just to like normalize the whole procedure? Or are you like, I don't know, virtue signaling in some way? If it's to normalize the procedure, okay. But if you're virtue signaling, if that's really your intent, look deep down. Like, if I do this, I'm doing a good thing, even though it doesn't really make any sense because I just slay ass all day long. I love pussy. Whatever. So you're that guy. Or that girl. It's like, oh, you know what? I fucking rock cock all day long. It's like a joystick. I'm just on that shit. By the way, she, her. Come on, man. Come on. Let's not normalize this nuance. Like, be inclusive thereof. It's weird, dude. It's weird. Just chill with that. I don't want to lose a sponsor, but I don't want to like persecute people from using gender normalities that we've had in our language since the dawn of time. We start using like Latin prefixes and stuff like this and derivations from old languages that are basically the parts to the whole of what we call English, and then we change it to some derivation that's hocus pocus nonsense. I say, what the fuck are we doing? I don't care. It's not about persecuting someone or being oppressive. It's fucking weird, man. It's just weird. Jordan Peterson would agree with me on that, I'm sure, but he'll take it one step further and say, well, you know what? I don't like compelled speech laws, nor should you. I also don't think in Canada it's fucking kind of fucking weird for like a 6-year-old kid to say, I feel like a girl. And his parents are like, hey, can we just wait? Fuck you. And then like the kid can be taken from the home by the government because it's like H1, law HB1. Because even though that child's minor and doesn't have consent, it can define what its sex is. This one specific thing. Everything else, like age of consent for a girl, these are more very similar to the United States laws, but when it comes to like sexualization of a child in terms of how they define their identity at 6 or 5, they have full autonomy. That's weird. Again, it's very like one specific thing. It's like, but Dad, I said he could fuck me. Like, you're 15. He's fucking going to jail. I hate that kid. Jamal, fucking black guy. Sorry. Just kidding. No, but like, that's like fucking weird. But it's like, she's 4. I feel like a boy. Hey, let's just calm down. Maybe you'll feel like a girl next year. I called social services and you're fucked. Get the fuck, you don't look at my parents. I'm in Macaulay Culkin, you motherfuckers. It's fucking weird. It's happening all the time. We see this power of like, people like monetizing their situation, telling on their parents at the Save America event, the rally where Trump allegedly incited violence. Allegedly, because it's key. Incite violence is only implicit in the aftermath. If that never happened, there would be no citation or incitement of violence. See what I mean? Like if he said, I think you should storm the Capitol and try to, find AOC, who allegedly today wasn't even in her building, the rumor building or whatever. She wasn't actually there, even though she said she was hiding in the bathroom. That's weird. I hope someone calls her out on that, if that's indeed true. That's what I've heard. It's a complete lie. Then it makes you want to question other things. You can't question sexual assault. You can't ever do that. But maybe this one thing that might hurt her credibility to some degree in terms of like using stories that are like, oh, bless your heart. You're such a hero. Wow, you're so brave. To further her career or super PACs. Super PACs are these, in case you don't know, these funds where people send money to politicians. Like, I want to give her money. She's going places. I like her politics. Using social media, using media to build up millions of dollars. Remember, they make $150,000, $140,000 a year in Capitol Hill, maybe 180. This whole idea of, oh, by the way, I'm going to, I forgot to put do not disturb on, someone just texted me. Oh, it's so weird. I should probably pause and do that. Hold 1 second. And we're back. What the fuck was I talking about? No, AOC. But then what was the thing before that? Like she uses these stories of like sexual assault or the incident at the Capitol building on January 6th as justification for like monies. Like she's selling media through counterparties, derivatives, and then getting paid to go on television and talk about things using like building up her celebrity. This makes money. It seems like not a normal way of creating money to everyday people, but it is. It's very valuable. Publicity is a derivative function of cash. Like baby pictures from celebrities that can fetch like 500K, right? Like those, really weird, but it can work in politics too. It works the same way. Her book deal, then they raise the advance, and it's just like, you know what I mean? She has like 7 books in the next 2 years, all written by a ghostwriter, probably me because I'll sell out. And she was raped 7 times by 7 men in MAGA hats on 7 different occasions, and I'm like, she's like, God, how do you come up with that? So good, we're gonna make so much money. I'm like, thank you. Hey, so you want to go out to dinner tonight? Like, oh, I don't know, we can't really go in public. You're white. I'm like, okay, I'll like put on like some dreads or something in blackface, maybe. She's like, I don't think we get away with it. Okay, can I get a BJ for the 7 MAGA hat idea? Sure. Okay, just privately. Later. Okay, cool. Thanks. Not too much teeth though. Okay. Just don't Keira Knightley it. Thanks. Oh, thank you. There's this funny comedian, Luke Millington. I don't know. He's hilarious on Instagram. Luke, oh, I feel so bad. Luke something. He does Keira Knightley like funny things and other stuff, but like something about tortellini pasta stuff. He's really, really good. What is it with British actors that are just better than American actors? It's like they're just like I was watching Filth last night with what's his name from like Atonement, and you know who, the Scottish man. You know who the fuck I'm talking about. You know. I can't practice that, but like so much more talent. It's like acting school in England is like going to med school in the United States. It's like, I'm in my residency program. How long have you been studying acting? 7 years. Like, have you started making money? No, they don't let you do your first play until you're after your 7th year. Jesus Christ. And it was like some asshole doing nose jobs and shit like that. It's crazy. Anyway, what's his name? The X-Men. You know what I'm talking about. Just in the chapter waiting on the Hey, I know it was you. You fucked my sister. Something British guy. Paul Bettany. No, but like same idea. Like this very classically trained actor is really, really good. Let's get into it. After my computer gets out of sleep mode. Get into it, you fuck. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Oh yeah, I said I was going to do swearing because I'll definitely ward off all legitimate sponsors in the future. But it's hard because it really is part of my personality, and I kind of want to be OG about it. Let's talk about stocks. We're going to talk about GME, a little bit of that. Legitimately though, I did buy AMC this morning just for the hell of it. I think the turnaround in terms of like where the stock was priced a few years ago, the negative returns, and what price to sales might be. What is GameStop if not for the deal Damon Capital talked about in October 2020, where GameStop wouldn't really have a legitimate intrinsic value proposition if it weren't for their play into the electronic digital stratosphere. In other words, okay, all the physical games are going to eventually, regardless of how much you like the tangible SKU morphology of having that like real life visceral thing in your hand. I want to go to a library and feel the physical book. I want to feel the physical binding of Halo 7. BenBen, fucks over whatever. I don't know. Something. How do they make money in that future? Well, Microsoft offered this opportunity for them to say, listen, if you sell our consoles, our Xbox S's and all that jazz, every game that's bought off that console, you get a revenue share from. It's like they know the console, the serial number is attached to the Xbox Live system. When someone buys a GameStop Xbox, they didn't go onto their Xbox at home, go onto the Xbox Live and download a game. There's revenue share from that game that's digital to GameStop. Not only do they get the console at the physical store or ordered online, or whatever is sent to them, they also get that experience. The other thing, I think it's like, this is weird, but the fact that so many kids like to play video games, and then moreover, they like to watch other people play video games, makes me think that competitive gaming in terms of an arena or an actual place to play, not just being at different places all around the world and streaming through a system. You know, there's lag time issues with that, especially at the competitive areas. Like, oh, he's in India and he's in New York. Well, that might be problematic. There might be some unfair advantages in terms of fiber optics and how the buffering works and the signals and everything. So they have these games usually in one place for millions of dollars that kids play against each other. And GameStop could be part of that too, on-site competitive gaming. I've thought about this in the VR world. You know, like there's a couple of amazing VR experiences. There's one where it's like the VR landscape is this entire warehouse where you're just like walking around with a gun and you're just like boom, 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 boom. It might be run off of Steam, but the point is like there's potential still for these like on-site places. And the fact that the game, they're sold for $59, $60 a pop, that GameStop can get some of that revenue in addition to having their stores stay open, is beneficial, is really, really beneficial. We'll sell our shit still. We still have justification for our lease liabilities. Now that's key. The one thing that Roaring Kitty even talked about in his debt, that really makes their debt balloon, is the, I just started doing a model of GME finally last night. That is the kicker, is that if you include lease liabilities into debt, assuming that the CapEx is similar to the cost of debt, let's say 6%, that's like CapEx is like, okay, this building is an asset to the owner that I rent from. And I pay every year 6% of the total value of the building in rent per month. So it's like per month rent times 12 divided by total value of the building. That's your CapEx. So if you take a lease liability, which is hard sometimes to determine what the value is, but you just assume that it's a number that's similar to the cost of debt. Not crazy to say 6% is your lease liability, particularly for a commercial space. It seems actually really rational in many respects, maybe low. But let's just say that. I'm gonna look into that some more and get back to you. Again, this is my first time actually doing the modeling. I sent out a tweet the other night saying that I think it's difficult and very impressive for gamers. Roaring Kitty, based on his setup, clearly is a gamer. From that room where he broadcasts from, clearly is a gamer. He's taken the time out of his schedule to research stocks, not game, and that's a big deal. That's an achievement in of itself. Naturally, his original job at like Mass Mutual or something before I guess he made some money and stopped. I don't really know what he does. Maybe he still did some day job. Not sure. I could tell from the background he always films at night. I don't really know. It's very unclear. But rents that house with his family, right? That's what he said. And now probably he'll buy it or move to, I don't know, a penthouse in New York. I don't know. We made like $60 million or something. Who knows what he made? Unless he hasn't sold. He lost $15 million the other day when it went down. The presumption that this is going to keep flying once all the restrictions on the stocks come off. But it is impressive to do spreadsheet analysis when you're a gamer and you could get off work and then, all right, I'm going to just relax. No, I'm going to get into Excel and SEC's Edgar and just go for it. It takes a lot of time. In my opinion, it does. I don't think every company is the same, and I think that you have to take a different avenue towards it. I think what I said in the beginning, to say AMRS stock was the look. I was looking at AMRS stock, the beauty stock, the makeup stock that uses like the new industry vertical of ESG, like environmental safety, into the makeup world, and also alternative. I think they might even do petroleum stuff or the petroleum-based makeup. Seems like they have a hand on a lot of stuff, but it's in that same industry vertical, which I think is synthetic. It's created. It's not a real supply and demand environment. People have convinced people it's necessary. Like the Earth's going to be killed by a solar flare. We have to leave and like colonize Mars or some shit. Whatever. Like it's not. There's no real demand yet. People are prefacing the need to convert. Like get off meat, start eating plants. Ozone. Flatulence from cows. Whatever. No real demand yet. They're like forcing the demand down your throat. The same idea of buying, I think the most simplest explanation is like phones. Like I love the 5SE iPhone. Tim Cook phased that out in terms of economies of scale, saying, no, that's a cheap phone for poor people. Like, no, some people actually like that size, Tim. Asshole. It's not just about like what you can afford. Like the size is ergonomic for your hand. If a friend who went to the doctor is like, hey, my thumb like really hurts, and when I play tennis, like it's like I can't like tilt my racket. Like it's as if I have tennis elbow before I even started playing this summer. It's weird. What size is your phone? I have the 10XS. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's the reason you're reaching for. Use reachability or don't, whatever. But like that's the reason why you have like that feeling. Stop. Like it's because of mobile apps. They want people to have a bigger screen, sell them more limbic system resonance. It's kind of like dope. The bigger the screen, the more like, ooh, exciting colors. Yes. You know, and it's like, ooh, sell the more application possibilities, more dope you up on the same idea. I've talked about limbic system resonance before, but it's like, it's a key factoid in the addiction level. On the Tiger podcast with the Mad TV comedian and his wife, very attractive woman, by the way. Him not so. He's a short, fat, pudgy Asian man, but his wife's attractive. He had on one of my favorites, Craig Ferguson, the former head of Late Show or whatever, the one after Letterman, who they said I think he had a deal with his contract. Said if he didn't get the show, which he didn't, they'd pay him $5 million or something, or maybe pay him sequentially $5 million. Interesting to note, his old house in LA is Krista Elia, the unfortunately in an awkward position, completely deplatformed comedian. And you know, that's his old house, Craig's. Anyway, besides what, they were talking about addiction to electronics and like, what is the withdrawal like for turning off your cell phone and your computer for like weeks on at end, like instantly. Right now, no more podcasts, no more BenBen. I'm gonna go to the mountains. I'm gonna go to Montana. I'm gonna do my little John Mayer. She's always wearing just like neon. Wait, what's the other one? He did like but I'll never let your head hit the bed without my hand behind it. You want love? Sorry. I really just want to sing now, even though I'm not very good at it. I'm tone deaf and all that shit, but I feel like I have potential. I really do. Swim the deep sea of blankets. Sorry. Your body's a wonderland. I'll use my hands. Sorry. Oh, damn, baby, you fluster me. I know you're mine, all mine. But shorty, you look so good, it hurts sometimes. I did change that to shorty when I was a kid, to serenade girls that were out of my league. And then I became 6'6", and then there's no such thing as leagues when you're my height, baby. Hey, how are you? Anyways, is it kind of weird that the height thing with girls, like, you can be, what am I, like a 7 as a guy? I don't know. Like, but like at 6'6" with all inclusive, it's like, no, you're basically you're open to basically any possible woman. It really just comes down to income at this point. Sorry, fellas, it's really true. All you incels out there, by the way, the whole like income thing you guys don't talk about, getting like implants and nose jobs, kind of a big thing, especially for practical, like normal women. It's like the security thing they want when the clock hits 25. I'm going off on tangents today. I'm sorry, but I can't help it. Focus on your money. I think it was someone came out with something recently. Some actress was like kind of criticized like men are useless until they hit 33. She's talking about the money, which is very, like, oh, they're immature and they don't have any real. Talking about like, you ever like solicit a prostitute and she doesn't take clients under 30? You guys ever do that? I've had money in my 20s, so it's a little bit different. But like some of you get frustrated. It's like, I saved up for this. I really wanted a blowjob from you. You're my favorite porn star. I gotta shut up. Shut up, man. I took my favorite porn star to the Masters, like 7 days. Shut up, BenBen. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Don't stop talking. I was, how old was I? Like 24 when I did it. Shut up, BenBen. Shut up. But I'm doing this. I feel like you chewing on ice. I feel really insecure right now. I shouldn't talk about that. It's entertaining, but it's also like not ideal. It's like, all right, it's classless, or that's looks down on you. But I've always felt like people view. I'm going on tangents. I'm just gonna do it. I don't care. Fuck it. I don't care. I have notes. Fuck it. People look at women, particularly women. I feel like women should get away with this more than men. What you do for a living is who you are. How, like, as a man, for example, how much money, do you make? 6 figures? Are you a doctor, a lawyer, investment banker? Do your family come from money? Whatever. This stuff, like, is kind of gross, particularly applied to women. Like, I've always felt. Christopher Hitchens, as you know, one of my favorite, I named my cat after him, one of my favorite people, always said, he was kind of criticized for this in this lecture, I had a conversation with other women during one of the original normal cycles of women's rights and like progressive thought that has happened in the 90s or early 2000s. It cycled, this postmodernistic rhetoric it comes up in the media as popular. Now it's become like law, but before it was just a cycle of like, either maybe it was part of the deal to get to where we are now, or it's scary. But he talked about how men essentially should take care of their women. Like, the woman should not have to work. She can, but she should not have to. And the women were almost defending a male's perspective from this point. Like, that's not right. That's a sexist, or that's an esoteric, just old hat way of looking at things. But I don't think so. And I also don't think that a woman deciding to go to med school defines who she is. It should make her any less beautiful or interesting. Conversely, for a man, from my perspective, taking an esoteric view of Christians, you should get your shit together. Yes, I understand the 33-year-old thing. It's about money. It's like, okay, in your 30s, get your shit together. Men take longer. That's why it's always the 25-year-old beautiful woman dating a 36-year-old guy. Hope Hicks, who worked at the White House, and I think is like being passed around by every partner at Goldman Sachs right now. Which, quite frankly, I great. There's also this thing when you get older as men, when you start to take priority, like, it's not just the prettiest girl, it's also someone who has their shit together. Sort of, not like she's not a complete basket case in terms of problems. There's a balance, right? It's like she's an artist, but she's has her shit together. Sometimes, though, you throw a wrench in it, the girl is absolutely batshit crazy. You just, oh my God. The sex is the best. The daddy issue thing maybe it was helpful in terms of sexuality. It's very naughty. There's women with borderline personality disorder often. Kelsey's gonna kill me right now. I feel like there's been some studies that suggest they're more attractive physically, like on average. That's strange, particularly like in terms of genetic predisposition. Like, if someone develops borderline personality disorder from abuse in childhood, how do they develop aesthetics that are above average? Unless it was, infant alcohol syndrome, that's potentiality for borderline people said. I think for in women, I think it's a hormonal issue. It could because I think it's both genetic and can happen in childhood, the symptoms. The point I'm making is sometimes girls that are batshit crazy, great at sex, and you have to kind of parse as a guy, like, the fun of this girl with like a long-term partner. Like, do you want her to, like, will she be a good parent to your children? And I think guys get to the point also in their 30s, late 30s, like, I want someone who's a partner, who's going to grow with me. They might have had issues, but we're growing together, we're getting better. We both have issues, we're improving. And Kelsey, like, she's, borderline is a thing, and, it's part of it's hard because you don't want. It's fun to want to take care of someone and but you also want to make sure like you're instilling with them values. Like, listen, you're amazing. You don't need me. Who am I? Like me, BenBen. You don't need me. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. She doesn't need me. That's the whole thing. Like, you can instill this in people who've had rough childhood. I've had horrible childhood. So, advantages, but like messed up stuff. Like, oh my God, like they just all disgusting, just vile, like rampant, awful, horrible things. But you want to instill values in this person, like make sure that they know that they're loved and that they're valuable, that they have their self-worth. You want to like let them know and be honest too. Like, don't like stay in a relationship long term with someone that just for sex. You're an idiot if you do that, or for the superficial reasons. You're an idiot. Yes, I know that I'm tall and I don't know, interesting looking, and I know that I'm weird, and yes, but I'm batshit crazy. Maybe you should break up with me. And I'm just kidding. But like that's the whole point. Like, that's that you want to like grow with that person, and like that's the other thing I think is also harder in relationships. It's like doing that cycle again, meeting someone again. Like, you kind of get sick of that as you get older. So like you start picking people based on like with Kelsey, it was like I saw her, I was like, oh my God, I've never seen. Whoa. I'm like, what? I'm like, hi, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire life. And it just so happened that she and I had a million things in common, more so than we even talk about that help. like writing and creativity and stuff like that. And it's beneficial. And there's antithetical parts or personality which are good. You want to have things that don't fit in the puzzle. How the fuck did I get off on this? I don't know why I'm talking about this. Talking about GME stock instead of talking about this? What am I doing? Like, what? Weird. So weird. My apologies. I talked about AMRS, the makeup. Wasn't I talking about at some point before I went on this diatribe about AMRS stock and what multiple it's trading at? Like, how do you value a stock that loses money every year? Right? Like GME, more or less, like AMC, for example. A lot of people use price to sales. What is it trading at? How many shares are outstanding? Like the price of the equity and the market cap, and that's the shares outstanding times the price of the stock on the open market, and then divide by sales. Like how much revenue is it creating? Twitter, for example, traded out on its IPO at 11 times, 12 times, $26 a share it opened up, I think, of revenue. Lost money, right? Like perpetually. But like that's the thing. Like how do they value? It's difficult. It's one of the ways. You also smooth out the negative earnings over a period of time in a discounted cash flow model. You take a hypothetical earnings multiple, which is basically what a price to sales is without the, you can use EBITDA to EV. But again, if even operating income is negative. In the case of AMRS, the makeup stock I was referring to, I think I'm back on track. That is, sorry, Kels, we can get back on this. Gorgeous. I love you. That is the key. And their price to sales based on the market suggests that it's being valued at 11 times sales based on the price of 11.50 or whatever it was. I think it's up 16% today, 17%. That's interesting. I think that people right now, the media has been pushing, like things are going back to normal. Well, all the shares are restricted for these stocks. It's possible hedge funds are trading these back and forth. In order to short, like hedge funds, intrinsic value is lower for GME, obviously. Aswath Damodaran, however you pronounce his name, I've emailed. He just emailed me back. Very nice man. NYU's entire MBA, by the way, is available on YouTube. I suggest you look at it. For people that don't want to spend $150,000 on education and they have no need to add that onto a piece of paper to say they have it. They just want to know the skills. 60%, I think you can take MIT courses that are available online and then add those to Damodaran's classes on NYU, and you have a well-rounded idea of options, fixed income securities, accounting, and then corporate finance and valuation. That should do it for you. I don't think you really need anything else. For most people, don't need most of that. Actually, corporate finance would be sufficient. Probably the most important class you should take. But yeah, I'm losing it on my train of thought today. I apologize. GME, MBA, Damodaran, he values the stock at 47. I think Roy and Kitty did 40-ish too. I valued it off of looking at merchandise inventory divided by shares outstanding, looking at all the assets and kind of dividing them. Not using because the merchandise inventories are at cost. They're not the multiple of what they sell to the public, but I did it at cost. You add $10. If you were to sell those assets, what would they be? I discounted all these things. And I came to $32 a share. So I did this off the cuff because I got tired of looking at this. There's really, you don't need to do a DCF, but I like to do a multiple analysis, a DCF, and then maybe a continued valuation, something like that, like some old school, no plat, right? But continuing value, to get to terminal, so I do a variation of that. Sometimes I include inflation. We're getting to an inflationary market. I think inflation right now is only at 1.04%. You take CPI today, subtract it from the Consumer Price Index, and divide by the CPI of yesteryear. And then you could take you could put treasury bonds on top of that for inflation. Government bond 10 years divided by inflation of the CPI minus from last year. For this year minus last year divided by last year over the government bond, and that's your that would be your risk-free rate hypothetically. Or you just take the 10-year government, whatever. The point is, sorry, I was trying to, random thoughts. I don't know why I'm so discursive today. But that's the point is, there's a million ways to evaluate a company. I think it is cool that Roaring Kitty does not use DCF. I think it's really important that people don't. There's a way of getting complacent. Socrates says the definition of intelligence is realizing how little you know about the more and more. And it's really disconcerting, I think, or discouraging and disconcerting, that you master a subject and you put time into it and you did practice problems and you did real life situations. Really, real life situations are key. Just reading, there's so much. I just did a portfolio variance the other day for my own portfolio to see where I am. You have to transpose the matrix. I have a very condensed portfolio at the moment. Some people have 100 stocks, more than that. Some people have 20. Bill Ackman's more inclined to use a very specific portfolio, which I think is funny because he does this. He doesn't have a huge group of stocks normally. I don't know what he is right now, but it is funny that he took a passive investment like Valiant into that group of just so many stocks. The people that work for you pay millions of dollars to, they're analysts, and they literally just just have a passive position on Valiant and hold it down and take a massive loss. I find it so strange for a company, for a hedge fund that doesn't actually have like hundreds of positions to make such a calculated error. I've done this. I did this with Teva. I thought generic pharmaceutical company, largest generic in the world, passive investment, dividend yield by Israeli company. Israel's not going to let their largest corporation by market cap to just fail. But I guess they're not going to affect the free market either. They can't really because it's like revenues. And what are they do? They'll bail them out maybe if it were to come to that. But they're going to let the free market work, which is you're heavily debt loading. India's competition is killing generic prices in terms of margin. And so I got hurt in that trade. Everyone gets hurt. It's just the way it is. Like that's why you diversify, which is kind of ironic when it comes to starting your own business. You can't really diversify away risk. If you take it like a beta analysis of like total beta, you take like the market beta divided by R squared, the square root of R squared, right? And that's what gets you like the beta for a private company that isn't diversified from risk. And like Elon Musk or someone who's a fantastic entrepreneur says, if you bust your ass to work 100 hours, whatever he says. No one really works 100 hours a week all the time, particularly when something creative, because you have to take time away to like think. You have to think. Is that part of your work day? Is going for a walk around your block part of your work schedule? It's not just inputting data. Like, you just have to think. Especially if you're an entrepreneur creating something, because you have to be creative. You need to sleep if you want to like keep pumping ideas. So, but he says you're likely to fail, and largely because you're not diversified in that regard. And it's like, you can try again. And it's like, well, even this is one thing you do, and there's no other ways of like, spreading that out. It's just that one thing. That's why you take a beta for an industry sector, and you have to do the market beta divided by the R squared, the square root of R squared, to get that and isolate out the market risk, because you're not diversified. You're a bookstore. That's your beta. Okay, that's what we're doing here. And covariance is covariance because it's just you. What's the covariant of a company of itself? Well, it's the standard deviation. It's just that company. Like so. Yeah. I do feel that's why that is kind of a concept I'm talking about, is why the clearinghouses demanded 2.5 times cash for these firms like Robinhood and Cash App, whatever, because these kids don't have a diversified portfolio. They're just putting all their money in one stock. So to settle this trade, which takes 2 days from the time of sell or short to cover, right? Not either or. There's drastic moves in the stock price, and they wanted to make sure there's enough liquidity for these ridiculous moves. Now, are the broker dealers in bed with Wall Street? Of course, everyone's in bed with everyone else. Was there pressure from Citadel or someone to Melvin Capital to Citadel to broker dealers to say, hey, let's shut down retail. We have to get out of this trade. I bet, maybe through a third party, at least to cover them. I think that's important to look at. Is it possible that someone like Roaring Kitty was such a nice guy? It seems like so well-spoken, way more articulate than I am today, at least. Calm, nice, down-to-earth. Seems very confident, like he's trading at home. And trading at home long-term. The fallacy of day trading is that I need enough income, month to month to maintain my lifestyle. And so you day trade, it's like, okay, I made that much. It's in the bank, right? Minus 37% taxes. But okay, he's holding positions, as he said, a month, a couple weeks, 6 months, a year, like that. So clearly he has enough capital to play that out. And he's going for 50, 100% baggers, going for option moves, going for highly shorted positions for the sake of that squeeze in of itself. But Icon does this. I was a big fan of Hertz. I think Hertz will turn it around once the debtors are paid off and the company comes out of bankruptcy. There'll be a fleet manager for AI vehicles. And one of the reasons why, like Uber getting away from their autonomous vehicle division, I think they want the same reason why they got rid of the leases. It's like, we want someone else to come in and take that cost. We want to have like a licensing agreement with someone else to handle that. And there's also like huge insurance liability that goes onto the third party or that's shared, but it's less of a burden. I think that's the reason. Start looking at Uber's multiples and like go crazy, like how much it's actually valued, like how much they could make if they got rid of the drivers. Like the drivers are killing it, right? And like Uber, what does Uber make? I can't remember. Does it make 20% of every ride? 10? I can't. But it's like, let's get rid of the drivers. Like, so that's a thing, but it's not a thing yet. And they don't have to do it themselves. They don't have to make the cars, and they have someone else do that. That's their whole point. Like, we'll facilitate the infrastructure through the system of like the message board, but we can have someone else deal with the cars and all that bullshit. We don't need to do that. Labor intensive, third party costs, capital expenditure on that is a nightmare. Why bother? Creditors will appreciate that. Have I been coherent at all? Does everyone? It's just not live, but I hope I've been relatively coherent. But I guess going into media's perception of everything right now, like the stocks are not. I think the restrictions come off on Friday, where liquidity comes into legitimate free market potential in terms of forward momentum coming back to retail and making a decision. GME's down to $94. What is it right now? Something like that. Are they going to buy? Are people holding and not buying more because they can't, and we're waiting? It's all just a stall. We'll see. Media's definitely said some bizarre things that are countering what actually is going on Reddit, these subreddits, the subdivisions of other websites too. Like, Reddit saying buy silver. That wasn't true. They're pushing bullshit. The other thing is someone coming out on TV and saying I'm happy for retail could be a setup. Go retail. They should. This is like was it Google's? Champra, whoever, the hedge fund guy, I can't pronounce his name. He's Indian, Stanford grad. He's like, GME's just the beginning, maybe long term he's referencing, but he also might be setting up a position for shorting, because you can't short if you don't have the opposite side of the transaction. There's not enough shares to borrow against, right? You need retail to be involved. I would not be surprised if hedge funds box in their positions, go long and short, pushing the stock, helping retail go forward once the restrictions are over, so they can short those shares. You got to have those shares. Obviously, I think a lot of people were selling, helping Wall Street take those shares and then trade back and forth between each other to push down the stock price to give the impression you have to sell. And then Wall Street wants to have both ends of the trade. They want to make their money back from the whole short squeeze, and they want to make the money back going down. So let's raise it up, make some money, and make some money as we go back down towards intrinsic value. In order to do that, we have to trick retail into thinking that, what was it? Was it Volkswagen? That's a major short, like something like that happens. We go like parabolic again to 1,000, then back down to 40 or something like that. You got to have the shares on the other side of the transaction to short. You can't just say, okay, we're going to short from air. You can't do it. You got to have liquidity. You got to have retail back in it. And that's the funny thing about this position in terms of the broker dealers. They've given hedge funds time to collude, to work together, to formulate a plan. This is a massive trade potentially. Right now, at economies of scale, I don't think the trade's big enough for hedge funds without retail. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Without them, I don't think there is a profit to be made. You can't just screw over each other as hedge funds. It's like, this is no longer about value proposition. Well, it is. There is a long play, but you're also trading into premium already, more than likely. I would say that what's cooked into the price from $6 or $8 going to 40 to 60 to 80, that's extreme for the future prosperity of the digital marketplace revenues going into GameStop's pocket. There has to be some more in-store gaming possibilities and revenue from those potentialities to justify those operating lease liabilities, in my opinion. I think in Wall Street's opinion. Remember, 2019, IFRS and FASBA said you have to include operating leases, particularly for companies like that, brick and mortar, that have so many stores, 500 stores, tons of stores. Yeah, it might have been Taylor Brands that has 500 stores. I looked at them the other day. I almost thought, their equity's trading in the pink sheets. Didn't realize, no, equity's worth zero. Michael Berry, two largest positions in terms of shares were GameStop and Taylor Brands. He was an activist investor on Taylor Brands. Joseph A. Banks, the primary. And there's value there, brand value. Brand value is key. Like Apple as a product is not special. Brand value is what makes it. Their property, plant, and equipment, I think, is 3 times what their annual revenue is, which is insane. Like that's all you need to make Apple shit is one-time payment of $150 billion, and then boom, you make it back in 3 years. It's crazy. It's insane. People you should look at that on a balance sheet. People look at look at a Buffett return or tangible book. Buffett takes away cash. Tangible book is removing goodwill. And why can I not think today? Oh my God. Well, I don't know. I don't know why I can't think. My apologies. Yeah, intangible and goodwill. Oh my God. Gee, what is wrong with me? It's weird. It's coffee? Is it the cocaine? Just rambling. Just kidding about the cocaine. I don't think cocaine's these performance enhancing drugs are neuroplasticity wise, long term, not ideal in terms of maximizing the standard deviations from in terms of creative thought. Okay, what's the epiphany? How many epiphanies do you have in your life that are life changing or potentially great ideas? I think long term, there's this diminishing value proposition towards stimulants, even caffeine. Well, over 1 milligrams, caffeine to doses is a dangerous thing. It can kill you, brain damage. But yeah, just be mindful of that. People thinking, I need Adderall because I have to work 16 hours a day on Wall Street just to make a name for myself and have a shot. Yeah, I understand. Sort of. Just hopefully, maybe get off it. Go into investment banking, get away from analyst work, might be more beneficial. Maybe you can budget your time more and spread it out over 7 days versus 6 or 5 and do 16-hour days on a 5-day work week. I mean, what's the point? Why don't you just put some of the work on the weekend and have nights off or something to rest your weary head. But yeah, long term, just taking these drugs, I don't think there's a net benefit. I really, really don't. Oh my God, the coffee is making me have to poop. God, do I have to stop the video again? I'm gonna be off my rocker. We haven't gotten through I have to go. I'll be back. I'll be right back. And we're back. Oh gosh, I have no idea what we're talking about. We're talking about tangible book, goodwill and intangibles, Buffett return. Yeah, $150 billion plant, property, and equipment, and then making that back in 2 to 3 years. Apple, amazing. It's kind of how you want to value a company. It's that's it. What you really need to look at are those things accounts receivables, or it's fine, prepaids, all these things like this, deferred taxes. That's not really relevant. These things are not important. Look at. With GME, merchandise inventories, huge thing. Look at their operating lease liabilities, huge thing. These are things long term. But what does their bottom line say about the actual asset, the property, plant, and equipment the CapEx that they pay for every year, what does that say about their future prosperity? What does that say about what percentage of that is their free cash flow? Is it 3 times? Is it 4 times? Is it 6 times? That's key. Is that good? Like that hair for the rest of the show? I didn't really do my hair. Yes? Okay. That's key. Look at this guy's funny. Johnny, what's his name? Fragrance One. John. He's hilarious. This guy, like, he's like. I talked to him about business, about like what is his. I've asked him. He hasn't talked to me. His name Johnny Fragrance. Johnny.fragrance.1 or something. He sells perfumes and colognes from third parties, and he has his own brand. And I don't know what his future is. Like, I don't know. He wants to move to Miami. He's in Miami right now. Hilarious videos. The guy's so funny. But I guess he wants to create his own business of his own line, maybe. And he's using, Versace, Creed, and he has his own label inclusive of that as his offerings. I guess he gets something above cost. And like his spread is somewhere between what his cost is, what MSRP is, and a little bit less than that. So it's, department stores are getting a higher margin, but he's offering that discount. And then he's offering himself and the market his product, which puts his product out there, puts him out there. So he's selling himself too, more than just his own products, his brand. But he's hilarious, dude. He's bust his ass. He's on YouTube, social media all the time. I like the work ethic. I really, really do. And he talks about 10xing, which is the value proposition. When you look at like a MacBook Pro, or you look at like anything, especially like discretionary income products. One of the reasons why I think Renaissance Technologies, their medallion fund and their quant funds, were overly situated in discretionary, and discretionary during a pandemic, during a synthetic recession or any recession, go down. People don't want to spend money on those things. They do their Michael Berry supercuts instead of having their lovely, sexy, fabulous gay hairdresser do their hair. And you can tell this is supercuts? No. And they, so that's why medallion went down. But 10x, 10 times the cost. And then you take off your cost of, distribution, marketing, and it keeps dropping the margins down. And then you end up with something like 20, 25, 30%. Cool. More or less. It's all relative. But this world is crazy right now with what could potentially be synthetic hedge funds that don't actually report because they're like, I don't know how you regulate Reddit and subreddit groups or like online forums of like people pooling their money. Like, how do you know that Michael in Spain, Miguel in Czech Republic, Michael's, man, which is like Jorge or something. That's racist, whatever. Not racist, but it doesn't fit. Why, like Rafael Nadal? Why not? How can you prove that they all colluded? They say something in the message board. Their IP address. You get all the warrants. But their ultimate decision to press buy. People like to feel good about agreeing on something. When it comes to actual purchasing, women make like 78, 83% of all the consumer decisions in the household. Redditors are largely male, just like YouTube. It's a male-dominated. More men, especially for the Wall Street thing. More men are involved in this enterprise. How much of the guilt is on the woman? Hey, is it okay if I buy this stock? And she says yes or no. Is it her decision now, derivatively, even though he brought it up and he got it from the website? And was he colluding with other people? Like, what is the SEC violation in justice? And also, collectively, everyone in this says in the message board, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Or it says weird stuff online that's like, that people harass a famous person just to get attention. hoping that they'll say something, but they would never do that in real life. There's just this skew morphology of what is online that's real and what is actually real. Like a BDSM website that you go to and you role play and like that's who you are. Like, not really. Not really. You know what I mean? Like this, like playing Sims or Madden. You're Tom Brady because you choose Tom Brady, and you're likely to purchase a Tom Brady jersey according to all the ads on the side of your pre-Super Bowl weekend on your browser. Maybe not. There's so many different variables, but it's interesting. There is a cool thing to get away from actually having to register with the SEC is having collectives. Like, what if you had 40 different funds under $100 million? Collectively, they're worth $6 billion. Like the buying power of retail in the GME case. And they're just so small, these accounts, that, I don't know, maybe there's people just start following someone green, but it only works so insofar as, like, you can't just create short squeezes all the time targeting all these stocks. Collectively, in terms of capital, there's massive problems there against hedge funds with hundreds of billions of dollars. It's not always going to work, and there is a concern for young retail people that are get badly hurt. Most 90% of millennials don't have $5,000 in savings. Some people just put it all in on GME, and this is a singularity. Not that I even think that's not even true. Dry ships, what is it, $3 to $120? Same type of shit, right? Like, I made a ton of money in that trade in 2016. These things happen. People are talking about the Volkswagen trade, I think, because of as to why someone would take massive losses the way GME is traded during the restrictions, because they believe that once retail comes back, it's flying. These aren't singularities necessarily as much as people think. In pharmaceuticals too, these things, bizarre things happen. Bizarre things. I'm a big fan of Lannett Pharmaceuticals, the generic, 66 years in the making. I think that their margins are going to stay at 30%. I think they're going to get to their their EBIT, their operating income number, I think 200 million, 250 million by 2025. And then what is the stock worth? $15 a share or more? Potentially more? 15 to 24? Got to assume their discount, like their actual credit rating will get improved. So maybe it gets down to 8%, get down, I think $25 a share is legitimate. Got to have a premium, why not? People keep talking about the war on drugs. What's the war on drugs? The war on drug prices. Sorry, not drugs specifically. How do you cure that? Well, price regulation, improving generic opportunities, giving biosimilars a shot, which might hurt India's dominance over the generic markets as a whole, and then save companies like Teva, potentially save companies like Lannett as well, long term in terms of cash flow. We'll see. Another bizarre tangent. Scientists have taught spinach to send email. That's interesting. Karens everywhere are furious, opting for censorship of the new tech-savvy leafy green, saying spinach will discourage our children from eating vegetables through spam propaganda. Yeah. Bullshit, Karen. Fuck you, Karen. No. Not actually that spinach can send emails. They emit the tech is they emit a chemical. It's picked up by an infrared sensor that sends it to a computer, and that sends off a generic email. Kind of like a Rube Goldberg machine. Boop, 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 boop. Leave the ball, and that's what's happening. I had this idea. I had a weird idea. What if a psycho Karen house mother was part of Harry Styles' entourage, like a house mother as in a teenage Harry Styles fan that's super Karen-ish, like dominant, like, you can't touch that. It's not the day. It's not your day, Sarah. No. Like that girl. But they're in charge of, did a job in his entourage, ensuring his nuts are depleted at all times and making sure that they're buffed for a nice shiny gleam, nice glimmer, keep them looking aesthetically pleasing, as pretty as he is on his face and so on and so forth. why is this woman, why is this girl, this Entourage fan, a Karen? She breaks the balls of all the underling minions, gives them a really hard time. As I said, you know, like, you have to counterclockwise, Sarah. Rub the left one. No. Use more wax. And sorry, I have to do better. And Harry's just like, yes, that's good. And then like, Mr. Styles, is that your satisfactory? Oh, thank you, Karen. That's lovely. You know, and then like this is all part of like Harry Styles' record deal that he gets an extra $1 million or something as a bonus, like an insurance policy against him making a mistake. Like if his balls are depleted, there's no blue ball possibility at all times. He's less likely to sleep with a fan that might be underage, as most of his fans probably are, 99%, except for the pederasts that are just like, hey Bill, Harry Styles is coming to town. Oh my God. You want to like go jack off together and just pretend like we're him and close our eyes? Let's do it, Tom. Okay. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm weird. I feel like the caffeine is. I feel like a weird place. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I've had like 2 of these giant venti vanilla lattes. I'm in a weird place right now. Psychologically. Such a beautiful day. I want to go for a walk after this to upload these, and then I'm going to go for a walk. Go for a walk while they're uploading. That's the correct use of my time. Still, it'll take a year to upload because I don't use a camera SD card, which is the next level. Have to do that. Oh yeah. I'd like to do a segment called Did You Know? New segment to the show, Did You Know? Did you know that Shia LaBeouf, the beef, as I think it's correctly pronounced, my computer's going slow. Shia LaBeouf, I have to get my charger. Shit. Let me just finish this. Shia LaBeouf came under heavy fire for plagiarizing his directorial debut in 2012. When he apologized publicly to the original artist, Dan Clowes, people discovered that Shia's apology was actually plagiarized verbatim from Yahoo Answers circa 2010. I don't know if this is his publicist that stole that idea and there's this lazy or like some minions that work for him. Or like, yeah, this is a great apology. I just found this one. Let's do this. You wrote this? Yeah, I did. Okay. Maybe that's the joke, is that he knew that would be funny. Maybe that was the whole thing, and he decided that, like, maybe this whole thing was plagiarism, was just part of a thing with Dan Clowes. You're like, I like your work, let's get you out there. You know what the best way to make publicity for this is? We make it seem like I stole your work, then I apologize, and I plagiarize my apology. I'll do a revenue share with you, because maybe he's like that. He's like that next level in terms of like intelligence. Working the system. You know, nothing's real, it's all an illusion. 1 second, my computer's about to die, hold on. How many starts and startups did I have today? Like 3? Is this 4? Oh, I feel so bad. Sorry, is it continuity? Hair definitely is probably not. I apologize. A woman doing gymnastics, seemingly unaware of a coup in Myanmar. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, crazy. Absolutely, like that's hilarious. It almost seems like it's fake. Like they're ignoring her. People do. I think it's so impressive when people like in public spaces of like note, you know, like the Leaning Tower piece of this, but like weird places, like they do stuff like that and they don't care what people think of them. Like it's just good for them. Performance art in public that's not directly meant for the public that you're surrounded by, like it's for camera. It's tough, man. Like you're filming something, right, and someone like photobombs you, right? You're doing like a report live from. That's one thing, but like literally doing something for like yourself or your own channel or something like that, and then like everyone around you is not in on it. Like they're not really supposed to be there, and you just have to endure the awkwardness, particularly if you're being particularly weird, something like I might do. Props to you. Cheers. Oh, I guess we should get to this. Dustin Diamond. Passed away from stage 4 small cell lung carcinoma. excuse me, on Monday at age 44. The actor is survived by his girlfriend Tosh. Dustin evidently this summer had lumps on his neck and jawline, but he opted not to go to the hospital because he was worried he'd be like recognized and people would make fun of him because of his like comedic background. That sucks. It's a horrible thing. You really should get checked. All of us, men, girls, get checked. Guys, check your balls. Well, you do that already every day, probably multiple times, like I do. Or your prostate. If any of you are 35, around that, start doing it. Like, go get, Katie Kirk that shit. Look up, make sure it's all working. It's the last thing you want. Someone to have that surgery. Although there is possibility of living with prostate cancer and, there's a lot of interesting things about like ablation in terms of that, like PSA levels and like what is the prognosis. But metastasizing, prostate cancer metastasizing from there, becoming something more systemic, that's the inherent danger. But maybe it doesn't. Let's look into this more. But get it checked out. Do get it checked out. I know that when I was younger, my dad's sixth wife, my stepmom, she would always have me check her breasts, and I would routinely whenever I was in Palm Beach, Florida. I would always check those things out, and never found anything, but I was happy to do it. All right. I don't have much more to talk about today. I don't think. I don't think so. Stocks, LCI, take a look at AMRS, like Ultra Beauty. That's $290 worth a share. Like with that concept, those beauty stocks, that's the idea. Look at the margins on the products. Maybe like that's the precept behind AMRS. I'd buy it today. Why not? Why not? Maybe I will. 3 o'clock? I don't know. Tomorrow. Buy it tomorrow. Curious how it closed. But yeah, you guys have a great time. Click the like button down below, and I'll talk to you later. All right, BenBen out. Bye.